I want to bring in Nicole Gill tonight because this is a messy issue, but she's thought a lot about it. She's the co-founder and executive director of Accountable Tech, where she leads strategy to tackle digital threats. They also just released new data on the dangers of social media design for young Americans. Nicole, I'm glad you're here. And I underscore design because, you know, these things are not just pre-made and they come out. They're designed, and your findings are consistent with the stories we always hear about teens in tech. They scroll for far too long. They lose sleep because they're on their phones. They follow strangers maybe they shouldn't be following. What do you find the most concerning, and what do you think is the fix?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think calling out the word design is a great place to start. And often when we think about, we think about our phone, we think about this device in our hand, it seems just like a machine. It seems like it runs on numbers and code. And in reality, all of that code is designed by humans. And companies like Facebook and TikTok and Twitter, they design products to be used by the most amount of people so that they can generate revenue. And generating revenue means keeping people on their platform. And so that polling that you referenced is showing exactly that, that 50% of the teens we polled say that they lose sleep over social media and from scrolling. 74% find themselves scrolling for too long. I mean, how relatable is that, right? Yeah. Only 8% of the teens we surveyed, and this was 900 teens nationwide, reported never having been suggested by an app that they follow someone they don't know. So that means children under the age of 18 are being recommended by platforms to follow people they don't know that are adults. And, there are nefarious people out there, and platforms and apps are a way that they get to our children, unfortunately, and platforms should be doing something about this.
We don't always know how they're designing these things in, Silicon Valley or Austin, Texas or Beijing, but in Utah, they're designing some new laws, which I know have been controversial, Nicole, and I want to get your honest take on them, because one thing is you have to prove you're old enough to be on the app. I think you have to actually show an ID that proves you're old enough to be on there. You can't just scroll down to, I was born in 1974. No, you weren't, kiddo, or a parent has to give permission legally. Do you think that would help?
I think that's an incredibly privacy invasive approach that puts all of the work on the parent and actually relieves the tech company of the burden that they've created. When I think about the bill in Utah, I think, God, those poor parents who are now being asked to, they're already concerned about the way that their children are using apps or using computers or using devices. But now what the state has done is decided that parents have the sole responsibility. The companies really don't have any anymore to put in place safeguards for young people. A straight out ban isn't teaching young people how to use social media responsibly. It isn't helping them learn safety tools. It isn't helping them understand their own mental health and their own well-being as it relates to these tools. And so you're really just you're kind of bringing down a blunt tool across what is an area that I think requires a little more nuance. And again, really the tech platforms should have to play a role here in improving their product safety.
What about the curfew provision? Because I cannot think of a reason a 13-year-old needs to be on TikTok at midnight. Maybe there is one. I can't think of one. Is a curfew reasonable?
Yeah, I think, again, this is probably a parent-by-parent decision. I will say, in the situation of TikTok, for example, the version of TikTok that they use in China actually has pretty strict time limit on it per day. Children can't use that app for more than an hour a day in China. That's not the version we have here, right? And to me, that proves that these companies know that there are harms at play when their products are overused and used for nefarious purposes.
Nicole Gill with Accountable Tech. I love when you come on because we talk about sticky issues and get into the mess of it all. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.